What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure Evil MMA here at MyMMAnews.com. I'm your host, as always, Evil Eddie, and we have an amazing show set up for everybody today between Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series that went down last night with hometown hero Nick Newell. If you did not catch it, well, you have a minute for a spoiler alert because it's going to be coming up in just a minute. Also, Darren Till versus Woodley, or let me rephrase that, T. Wood versus Darren Till, but where's Kobe? Where is Kobe Covington? Isn't that the reason they have these interim title shots? There's an issue here. We need to discuss that. Also, there's so many fight announcements that have been coming out this week. Like I just said, Darren Till. But then again, this weekend, we have a card coming up. This should be a pay-per-view card. You have Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin the Diamond Poirier going up for the second time. You have Jose Aldo, who was the featherweight champion for 10 years, going up against Jeremy Stevens. And then you have Joanna Jędrzejczyk back at it again, going up against Tecia Torres, who has been on a hot streak. We have been spoiled in the last couple of weeks here with so many non-stop MMA events, even outside of the UFC, with Bellator. Part of the fight announcements this morning is going to be a little bit about the BKBFC as well. We got the live chat room going. If anyone has any questions, feel free to tune in for that. I cannot wait to get into today's show. Let's jump into it now. Listen, guys, this week has been super busy. Absolutely super busy between everything that has been going on. So if you've missed any episodes, you can still catch up with them on iTunes, Podbean, and now we're also on Spotify. Make sure you guys subscribe down below. Give us a thumbs up if you've been watching. We've seen a huge increase in numbers in the last month or two here at Pure Evil MMA. And with the new podcast that I'm doing with UFC veteran and kickboxing legend James McSweeney, which we just announced the official name of the podcast is going to be Gloves Off, hosted by James McSweeney and Evil Eddie. So thank you guys so much for tuning into that as well. And if you're new to listening to the show, that is fine. We do this live usually every Tuesday. I did miss yesterday's show because, here's the reason. Well, first, you can see one of the reasons right here. We got some studio furniture here we got this little couch here, and then we got a bigger couch. I even purchased a bed that has fucking speakers in it. Yeah. How crazy. It's not your grandmother's bed. Also, we got the fish. Remember the fish tank that we had? That little bowl that we had going? Look at this nice big tank. We got some crazy creatures in there. I got an algae eater. I'll share some pictures on the Instagram as well. So let me just give the last tag before we jump into the meat of today's news. Guys, Instagram, I know that there's been a lot of people messaging me on Twitter going, hey, did you block me? No, I did not block you on Instagram. What happened was somebody reported me out there, some whistleblower, and this one's for you. Someone out there was reporting some of my stuff, and it's just bullshit because, you know, Robin Black gets reported, and I discussed this at length on the last couple of podcasts. We work our tails off promoting the sport. For anybody out there that's going to be reporting us when we're not damaging the sport, we're out there promoting the sport. I was reaching 500,000 people on my Instagram a week. Why would you take that away from the community? So, with that being said, make sure you're following the new account at PureEvilMMA_ on Instagram. And if you're not following me on Twitter already, make sure you do that because that's where we have the most fun. And that's where usually most of the listeners are coming from because you guys engage all the time. We're doing giveaways. The UFC Pick'em is still going to be discussed as well because that's going to be closing on the 4th of this upcoming month. And just to get a little quick time frame for everyone who's tuning into this podcast and not tuning in live, guys, it is July 25th, 2018, and it is about 10:13 here on the East Coast. Supposed to have some thunderstorms today, so let's jump into today's action. Like I mentioned, we got the live chat room going. If anybody has any questions, feel free to hop in with anything at all. And we already got a couple of people in here. What do we got? BLT checking in. Fish and chips. What's going on, Eddie? BLT. Darren the Weasel Till checking in. T Wood's time is over. Let me pull in the screen, matter of fact, so the video cast viewers can actually see what's going on here. Darren the Weasel Till. T Wood's time is over. I'm rubbing the stakes. I'm a boot to be the champion. So let me stop right there. BLT is going to say this. No chance you're losing a board draw because of a sloppy judge and not getting the rematch because of missing weight. I am so happy that he brought this up, that we have people out there that actually know what's going on, and there should be some borders up if you're going to be fighting for the championship title. Now, here's the thing. This last fight that Darren Till was in, why would I be against Darren Till versus T. Wood? Let me start with exactly what BLT just said. First off, he missed weight in his last fight. That was a huge fight going in there against Wonderboy, who really is the #1 contender. Everyone is against him because he's not putting on exciting fights. Well, is that really the issue? Because if T. Wood wants his big fight, his big dream day fight, you have Dana White out there getting so angry at the fact that T. Wood has not been putting on some exciting performances. It is not all on the champ. You can't put all of that on the champion. Let's look at the last fight that Woodley had, that Darren Till had against Wonderboy. He's equal to blame there. So do you really think that they're going to be going in there and putting on a banger? I don't know what to expect, because we did see Till's last fight before that. But that was really the only shining moment. In my opinion, I think Darren Till's doing an amazing job. I just do not think that he is entitled for this championship fight. I really don't. I am against it. The interim title shot where he had Colby Covington, it's just a slap in the face now. Listen, I know there's a lot of people out there that do not like Colby. I understand that. But what he was doing, and especially for this welterweight division, was amazing. Absolutely amazing. T. Wood had finally stepped outside of that bad guy, persona. And now you have somebody who's going to play that role. He's pissing everybody off, getting everybody to talk about it. His last fight, which is a couple of months ago against RDA, before that beating Damian Maia. And I understand Darren Till goes in there and he beat Wonderboy and he beat Cowboy. That's equally as impressive. But at the same time, Colby Covington made weight. Colby Covington did his job, and I just feel like this is a smack in the face to a lot of MMA diehards who were against the interim title in the first place. And this is why. This is why there are so many people out there that do not take this belt seriously. And for Colby Covington, who, how good can you really feel holding that title? Here, let me pull up the slideshow. And we're going to be getting into Nick Newell in just a minute here. Let me pull this slideshow up. T. Wood. Man, I go out. And this is official, guys. UFC 228 is going to be going down September 8th. Tickets go on sale in 2 days here. I'm just really upset. There are so many people out there that are against the interim title because it is not taken seriously. I say this all the time. It's used as a promotional tool to literally trick people who don't follow the sport on the day-to-day. To make them think, oh, there's a title fight for free I don't have to pay $70 for. Let me tune in. And yes, it kind of works, but does it? Does it work? I'd be more interested in tuning in to see this weekend's fight than, being tricked to thinking, this is a championship fight for the UFC just to take that belt away and give it to the guy who's missing weight. And I don't want anybody to think that, I'm throwing too much shade at Darren Till. I'm saying facts here. The guy missed weight. Can you get a title shot by missing weight? He had everybody waiting there. He was saying that it was a family issue when really he knew that he was missing weight. He knew, and I know that his girlfriend was pregnant. There was issues there, and I feel like kind of an asshole at the time when all this was going on. But it was proven that, it wasn't because he's late. It's because he's going to miss weight, and he's trying to sweat out every drop. So that kind of made me feel some type of way. Going in there and not finishing Wonderboy at the same time. I mean, BLT, Cyclops has more chance of beating Wonderboy than he does making weight at welter. And this is something that Darren Till has also brought up to his defense. He said, naturally, I shouldn't be fighting at the welterweight division. I'm naturally bigger than that. And if that's the case, and if he's going to miss weight this time, how can the UFC allow this to happen? Somebody missing weight is a huge disrespect, number one. but to be given a title shot on top of it. I know I'm kind of beating the horse here, so let me know what you guys think about this on Instagram or Twitter at evil_echo, that's EVIL_ECCO, and on Instagram at pureevilMMA_. I mean, for Colby Covington, what he was doing the second that he won the belt was phenomenal. He was representing the UFC. He was throwing opening pitches out at I forgot what exact baseball game it was. He was saying, we're going to the White House, and I don't know if the White House let him in because it is an interim title, and you can't really consider that the real thing. And this is the reason, the only reason there should ever be an interim title shot, ever, is if the champ is injured. Now, Tyron Woodley went in to get his surgery the end of last year. They did not need to make this interim title shot if they were just going to do this in the long run. If anything was fair, you have the interim shot for the #1 contender against Till versus Colby Covington. That's what you do there. This is just confusing and it's absurd. Listen, when we had that last fight, and it was in the morning, we had Till versus Wonderboy. I went to my little brother's house. My little brother owns his own house in a nice town in Madison, where we grew up for a couple of years when I was in middle school going into high school. My little brother's boyfriend's family was over, and we were all sitting there watching the fight. They're all from Wonderboy's neck of the woods there in Long Island, New York. They know the Longo Gym and all that. We're tuning and watching the fight. They were bored to shit. And they all thought that Wonderboy won. Now, there was also that fight where it was just not much was going on to really judge, so who really was the winner? I scored 80% of the people I spoke to scored that fight for Wonderboy. So how does Till get the title shot after, squeezing through a fight like that, not making weight? It's just beyond me. It's absolutely beyond me. And I'm not for it. I'm not for it. So let me know what you guys think about this. This has been some of the biggest news going around this morning, and I've been seeing everybody tuning in on Twitter ranting about this, but it is official, so we have to live with it. Let me know what you think. All right, so this weekend, we have some amazing fights coming up, and it should be a pay-per-view event. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But first, what happened yesterday? So I'm here in New Haven, Connecticut. And about 10 minutes down the road is FAA. FAA is Nick Newell's gym. Nick Newell with the current record before his fight last night of 12-1. That one loss being to Justin Gaethje. And Justin Gaethje has shown his worth. It's not like Justin Gaethje hasn't fought some of the best in the world and put on the most exciting fights. He has. And that was the only loss in Nick Newell's record. Nick Newell took a step away from the game after that Justin Gaethje loss, but then he re-entered the pool this year, went in there against Luque, got the finish, raised awareness for the UFC. Now, this is a guy who has put up with people telling him he couldn't do it his entire life. There are fully able people out there right now that have no excuses to not follow their dreams. But there's people out there that shoot them down nonstop. I said this yesterday or the day before. I forgot where I said. I think I said it on my Instagram live. There's studies out there that says for every 17 compliments, for every one diss, for every one person that's out there throwing shade or putting you down, it takes 17 compliments to neutralize that, to make that go into the back of your head. This is a kid, Nick Newell, who has faced so much adversity throughout his life, for people telling him he can't do this, or you're not able to do that. And he's proved them all wrong. This is a kid that went in there and got to live his dream last night, stepping into the octagon. Now you guys might say, well, it's not the real octagon. It is under the UFC banner. You got Dana White's kid. You got Mick Maynard ringside. And it's kind of a weird vibe at Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series if you did not tune in. Since they started this thing up, it's really the Ultimate Fighter gym is what it is. And there's no crowd there. You're not going to walk out. You're not going to smell beer and Vaseline and screaming fans. It's kind of a weird vibe. It's an actual really weird vibe, but maybe that's a little bit better for guys to go in there and kind of just feel relaxed, like you're just, at your own gym. Going into this fight, I mean, with a record like this, you don't see this on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. And after Nick won his last fight at LFA against Luque, he was stirring up the pot. Dana White was like, you know what? Let's give him a shot. Let's give him a chance. We're going to put him on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, and we'll see how he does. Now, here's one thing that you guys should know about Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. You can't just go in there and win your fight. You might not have the cheering fans behind you, but you do have one thing that's going to overweigh that, and that's the fact that Dana White is there and is expecting you to get a highlight reel finish, or you're not going to get the contract. Antonina Shevchenko, before she went into her fight, I was nervous as hell because I was at her fight before that, her Muay Thai fight before that for a Lion fight. And I said this. I said, if she puts on that same performance, I do not think that Dana White's going to give her the contract. Well, Antonina went in there, and she knew the job that she needed to get done, and she did it. Now, Nick Newell was going into this fight against a wrestler out of Team Alpha Male. Matter of fact, Team Alpha Male's freaking wrestling coach. That's a tough kid to be facing up against for Nick. But Nick, being a veteran, he had a fair shot winning this. There's nothing you can take away from Nick Newell. He's proven himself time and time again. This was kind of another roadblock to me, saying, Nick, you have to prove yourself again. I believe Nick did enough throughout his career to prove that he should be given a shot on the big stage. Now, take what you want from this performance that he had last night. Think about this. This is Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, where you have other guys like, Hardy going in there, putting a great performance, but against guys who are lower level. You got people like Matt Passett going in there, one of the most violent fighters here in the East Coast, one of the most praised fighters here. He goes in there, he didn't get the win. But you know what? He got his shot inside the octagon. He didn't win against Kurt Albro, and Albro is one amazing athlete, an amazing fighter. Yeah, he did pop after the fact. But we've had him on the show before to talk, and he's an amazing guy. And he's a very tough opponent. I would love to see the UFC give Nick Newell another shot inside the actual octagon. You have people like CM Punk coming over without having to go to Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, without having to fight at Titan LFA. You have people like Greg Hardy, who has the history that he has. You're giving him another shot. You're praising this man. But then there's somebody like Nick Newell, may have an off night. On any given day, anyone can lose a fight. Some of the best in the world can lose a fight on any given day, especially taking a fight on short notice. You are going to give people like CM Punk a shot. You give somebody like Nick Newell a shot, who's going to actually inspire people, where kids are going to be able to sit down in front of their TV and say, wow, he has one arm, and he's in there fighting, defending himself. And these kids at school that are picking on me, I can go in there, and I can defend my reputation. This guy has one hand, and he's winning all of his fight. He's going in there and putting up a fight. People cannot finish the man. That's very inspiring to anybody out there that's going to be tuning in. And yeah, there are people out there that look at this and they think that he shouldn't be in there. But Nick Newell has shown us that he can protect himself. And I think he's deserved and earned his spot inside the actual octagon. If you're going to give people like CM Punk a chance, if you're going to give people like Brock Lesnar a chance, and that was years ago, by the way. If you're going to give people like Kimbo Slice a shot, give Nick Newell a shot, and not in the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. And I'm not saying handpick his fights. Don't do that. Don't do him any favors. He wouldn't want any favors. But give him another shot. Does anyone out there agree with me? Let me know on Twitter, Instagram, at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCL. Also at Pure Evil MMA_ on Instagram. And now on Facebook, guys. We are also on Facebook. What did you guys think about the performance that Nick Newell had inside the Contender Series cage last night? Let's see what everybody's weighing in the chat room. BLT saying, speak the truth, or I speak the truth. Bart Bood. Nothing surprised me after the title shot for Lesnar. Man, I agree. And you know what? To my defense, or to the UFC's defense, I understand why they do that. You have to understand this is the entertainment business. They need numbers. But when you're giving somebody a title shot, that's huge. It's huge. And I spoke with James McSweeney about this. McSweeney said, Lesnar doesn't deserve the shot. You know who deserves the shot? Somebody like Curtis Blades deserves a shot after what he did to Alistair Overeem. Give Brock Lesnar anyone else outside of that title. Because this is a guy who popped. This is a guy who, I mean, this is just beating a dead horse at this moment in time. Does Brock Lesnar deserve the title shot? I don't think so. Not over the actual contenders. But I understand why the UFC is doing it, especially after the slow year that they've been having. Chat room blowing up. Nick needed Tiger Life. MMA Holes checking in. What's going on, MMA Holes? Make sure you guys are all subscribed to the MMA Holes. They go live every Wednesday night. They were live last night doing the little fight buddies. BLT, Curtis versus Volkov, but I'd rather see Brock. Curtis Blades, man. And here's some additional news for you. Maybe I should wait before I drop this. You know what? Fuck it. Let's get into our fight announcements here. And let me know what you guys think about Nick Newell. Should he get his next shot? Let me know on Twitter and Instagram and right here in the chat room because we'll bring it right back up once you check in. But we got some upcoming fights, guys. Yoel Romero versus Costa, November 3rd. Carla Esparza versus Tatiana Suarez. Let's start there. Tatiana Suarez coming into her own. I love this girl. This is the perfect fight for her. Carla's doing her thing. She's got the ball rolling once again, trying to prove herself. And if she beats Tatiana, it's going to prove to everybody that, yeah, she's going to be the #1 contender next. Tatiana Suarez, same goes for her. And I'll tell you what, my heart is with both these girls. But a little bit more of my heart and the way I think things should go is with Tatiana Suarez. I'm going to be rooting for both girls, of course, no doubt. But I think the way that this is going to play out, Tatiana Suarez is going to get the win. This should be an interesting fight. Two wrestlers going in there. Tatiana Suarez, if you don't know her story, it is absolutely another very inspiring story. This is a girl who was #1 in the country for wrestling. She got sidelined because she had cancer. Was able to come back, beat cancer, go on to the Ultimate Fighter, smash every contender they put in front of her, and now she's getting her big shot after staying undefeated inside the octagon. Really proving her worth from that season of the Ultimate Fighter that she's an actual contender in this division. And this is a very exciting fight. Carla Esparza, I mean, this girl is a vet for the division. This would be a huge win for Tatiana, and it would cement her place as the actual true #1 contender in the division. Let me know who you guys are going for on Twitter and Instagram, and of course on Facebook as well. That's going to be going down to UFC 228. Of course, we just announced Tyron Woodley going up against Darren Till September 8th. Tickets are on sale in just 2 days here. Also, Beck Rawlings, the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship 2. New Era. Saturday, August 25th. And then Yoel Romero versus Costa. The New Era breed here. These two are absolutely jacked. I see a lot of people out there giving a little shade against Yoel Romero, saying, you know, he is older at this point. He's, 38 years old. But one thing that you guys need to remember and keep in mind is this is the guy who entered the game later on in the stage. I spoke with a concussion specialist, Ben Velasquez, who went on to tell me, Yoel Romero is a specimen. This is a guy who biologically, yeah, he is 38 years old, but physically probably has the body of a 31 or 32-year-old. And if you know anything about mixed martial arts or sports in general, usually guys will go into their prime between the ages of 28 and 32. So where does that actually put Yoel Romero? The guy is explosive. This is going to be an amazing fight. I cannot wait for it. There's been a lot of fight announcements that have been dropping this week for us to look forward to. Maybe not agree with every single one of them. But Bare Knuckle FC, man, let me say something about that. They are putting together some really exciting fights. MMA News, MyMMAnews.com, right after that first event, tweeted this out. They're like, this is the #1 selling pay-per-view on our website ever. That shows so much. And it's not $70 at all. It's a fraction of the price. Let's check in with the chat room down here. MMA Holes, the Fort will avenge Nick's death. Yeah, Fort Sumner is going to be going in there next week And you know what? FAA, like I said, 10 minutes down the road. Me and Nick Newell and Justin were supposed to get together last week. Something happened. What's done is done. I will be checking in with Justin the Fort Sumner again and see how he's doing. But if you guys want to see our interview, it's right down here below on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Podomatic, and here on YouTube if you want to check that out. I will reshare it as well. The MMA Holes just had the Fort Sumner on if you want to go check it out on their channel. Matter of fact, Chris told me at what was it, the last CES event when I saw Chris from MMA Holes, he was like, you know what? Sumner was actually the first guy I ever had on the show as a guest. So if you are part of our scene here, you know, on the YouTube scene, the iTunes scene, I mean, I'm trying to break into the YouTube scene. Obviously, I've been doing this for a while, but never really committed to engaging with the audience as much as I am now. And the MMA Hole's doing an amazing job opening up doors, letting me see how things really should be done, and giving me some more of a blueprint on how the show should be run here on YouTube, especially in the MMA scene. So shout out to Chris. Make sure to give them a follow at the MMA Holes. But yeah, next week, Fort gonna avenge Nick's death. I love that, and we can only hope for the best. BLT checking in. BKB looks like a fun card, and you know what? There are still more matchups to come. I've been talking about James McSweeney trying to get on that card. He's been offered, but he told me the price has to be right, and that's the thing. If you're gonna be bringing over these big names, you got to have the money to back it up. You got to be able to pay for the fighters. And I think that they're going to be able to get more sponsors, especially since the first event was an absolute hit. Baroni versus Felony. Or Baroni and Felony. Yeah, you got Crazy Horse up on this card, which is very exciting if you know anything about Crazy Horse. I mean, the guy doesn't even train before his fights. He just goes in there and goes sick. And he's got pieced up in his last fight, but every time he goes in there, there is some drama that gets stirred up, and stirred up quick. Also, yeah, Phil Baroni is going to be going in there up against Chris Lieben. Two guys. I mean, look at Phil Baroni. He was just on my boy Adam Hunter's podcast a couple weeks. He's always on their show. And he's a really funny guy. And I'm going to be trying to get him on me and James' show because James is really close to him. So tune in either next week or the week after. We'll hopefully be able to get Phil on. And this is great. These are the guys that you want to watch in a bare knuckle boxing fight. Or bare knuckle fight. You know, Bobby Gunn, a huge name. Actually, Bobby Gunn was the first person, or one of the first people I ever interviewed on a podcast. Shout out to CSS Radio. I no longer am in contact with them, unfortunately. I don't even know why, but that was the first platform where I got to interview Bobby Gunn on. MMA Holes. I feel Till versus Woodley will cure racism. Hey, I don't know. I mean, come over here to the East Coast. Racism is very little percent of racism goes on here in Connecticut, especially New Haven. I mean, we are all in a melting pot. And you guys know my view here when it comes to racism and all that drama. I mean, I'm somebody that grew up the only white kid in my neighborhood. Before I moved out to Madison, when I was living in New Haven, I was the only white kid in my entire neighborhood. That didn't bother me. I never felt like I was out of place. You know, there was me, there was blacks, there was Spanish, there was Polish, there was Chinese. And it's not like any of us identified as, oh, I'm white, oh, I'm black, oh, I'm Spanish, we were all just friends. We were just bonding. And throughout my life, it's always been that way. There's never any tension or anything like that. I mean, people crack jokes and stuff like that, but there's no heated tension. Listen, New Haven is the number 3 most violent city per capita in America. And it is not to do with racism. It has to do with gang violence, domestic violence. Who knows? I mean, if Till vs. Woodley is the cure for racism, I'm all for it. All right, back to the chat room. Can't wait to see the new Gloves Off podcast, says Bart Bood. You know, we just dropped episode 3 where we spoke about Dana White. BLT. I'll show it. We were speaking about Dana White versus Big Brown. Matter of fact, Big Brown bringing up James McSweeney on the show this week with Tai Tuivasa. That was pretty cool to get the shout out there from Big Brown. So I actually pulled the car over when that happened, but yeah, thank you so much. We actually just released the name of the Gloves Off, and we're going to be releasing the new intro, the new logo, and we're going to get merchandise up ASAP. BLT checking in. Real racists are, but most of them are just normal people who disagree with the left, and that's I don't even want to touch on the whole racism card. I'm just not for it. The MMA host saying, I have a dream. All right, we need to move on with some more fight news here. This weekend, we have upcoming fights with Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin the Diamond 2. And this was a runner-up for best fight in 2017. I cannot wait. This should be a pay-per-view card. The way that this card is stacked, let me pull up the exact order of this card, because if this was 2016, 2017, there is no way this would not be on a pay-per-view card. There is no way. You also have Jose Aldo going against Jeremy Stephens. This is a huge fight for Jose Aldo, and I've heard a lot of people say if he loses this fight, they would not be surprised if Jose ends up retiring. I would hate to see that after the run that he's had. Yeah, he lost to Conor McGregor, but look what he was able to do against Frankie Edgar in the fight after that. How motivated he was. I mean, Max Holloway, take nothing away from those losses that he had against Max Holloway. Look at where Max Holloway is at right now. He is one of the best at 145. Ever, in my opinion. I mean, Jose Aldo as well, take nothing away. This guy held the belt for 10 years. Between the WEC, going into the UFC, nobody could touch him. The fights that he had with Chad Mendes, I mean, come on, guys. This is an absolute legend. I would hate to see him walk away from the sport, and he's still ranked number 2 in the division. Jeremy Stephens ranked number 4, but Jose Aldo, man, 30 fights now, 26-4. That is so remarkable. You know, here's one thing about Jose Aldo that we haven't seen his last couple of fights, and he's had reasons, apparently, to say why he hasn't used them. But the leg kicks. Jose Aldo, when you think of Jose Aldo, you think of the Uriah Faber fight. I mean, come on. Jose Aldo is the leg kick king. And we did not see that in his last few fights. I thought that was very weird. So looking back at Jose Aldo's record, UFC 218, the loss December 2nd, 2017 against Max Holloway. UFC 212, lost to Max Holloway. Before that, the win over Frankie Edgar. Before that, the loss to Conor McGregor. There has been a slip up there. Same with like Anderson Silva. It's kind of similar. And we fell to Chris Weidman, and after that, it's kind of rocky to get back on his horse. But he picked up a win. Before that, having the win against Chad Mendes, 2014. Ricardo Lamas, 2014. Chung Sung Jung. Frankie Edgar. Chad Mendes. Kenny Florian. Mark Homnick, if you guys remember that fight. Holy shit. Manny Gambarian. Uriah Faber. Mike Brown. Cub Swanson. Chris Mickle. I mean, come on. This is going back and back and back. This guy was untouchable. What can he do in there against Jeremy Stephens? Now, Jeremy Stephens has also been in the game for years as well. And people forget, Jeremy Stephens has been in the UFC for over 10 years. And he's only 32 years old. He's got those heavy hands, man. This should be an amazing fight. Definitely potential fight of the night right here. He's coming off that win to Josh Emmett back in February. Before that to Doo Ho Choi. Before that to Gilbert Melendez. His last loss coming to Renato Maciano back in 2017. And another loss to Frankie Edgar. He had that 2-fight little spurt there where he lost. But now he's back on the horse. This is great. This is going to be an amazing fight. I am leaning towards Jeremy Stephens here. Henry Ford checking in. McGregor changed Aldo's bum life. You know what? It's so sad how he fell after that. And in a lot of people's minds, that's the defining moment for Jose Aldo. And it's so sad. A lot of new fans nowadays, they weren't there to watch what Jose Aldo accomplished, what he built in the mixed martial arts community. Conor McGregor, yeah, he came around. He literally brought the featherweights to pay-per-view cards, to headlining pay-per-views. That was a thing. But did you forget about Chad Mendes versus Jose Aldo? Did you forget? Like, there are so many fights that Jose Aldo was in that had us at the edge of our seat, that were just squashed by so many people because of this Conor McGregor fight. It's so sad. And listen, that was one of the most exciting moments in my life. I'll never forget the moment in the build-up to, what was it, UFC, not 180, it was originally supposed to be UFC 189. I mean, that whole mess. What was it, UFC 192? Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo. I will never forget the moment that he went in there and knocked out Jose Aldo. I let out the biggest scream. Me and my ex-girlfriend just looked at each other. We're literally hugging, jumping up and down. So excited, felt so fulfilled. I mean, when you are so attached and emotionally involved in something like that, and all my friends that were there that were at that pay-per-view party, I tried informing them of where Conor was at the time, and where Jose's at, and what he's accomplished, and I was so nervous for Conor McGregor. I wanted Conor to win. I didn't think he was going to be able to do it. And the way that he did do it was just, whew, I'll never forget that moment. But also the Jose Aldo versus Chad Mendes rematch was another moment just like that. With that bomb. I mean, the first fight with that bomb knee. Running up into the crowd, jumping out of the cage. That was an amazing moment. And now he's back, and I would hate to see him walk away if he does lose to Jeremy Stephens. Also on this card, let's talk a little bit about Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Tecia Torres. Now, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, little rocky right now. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the former champion. A little weird not to be able to call her Joanna champion. BLT checking in UFC 194. Thank you for that. BLT, what Aldo did to Frankie a year or so ago beat Stephens. I agree, man. If he pulls off that same performance, that same dedication, and leg kicks, I think he's got it. Stewie Griffin checking in. What's going on, brother? But Joanna, man, she's still ranked #1 fighting out of Poland. Her Muay Thai is on point. Her grappling. I mean, she does have those 2 losses to Rose. Hopefully not defining moments, though. Before that, being Jessica Andrade. Listen, Jessica Andrade. Look at Jessica Andrade right now. Look at where she is at. Look at what Joanna did to her. Do you guys remember what Joanna picked her apart? Jessica Andrade, when after that fight, yeah, she's put together some amazing performances. She destroyed Claudia. She's been running through competition ever since then, but Joanna picked her apart for 5 rounds. 5 rounds. Grueling. Before that, Joanna won against Carolina. Before that, against Claudia. Before that, Valerie Letourneau. Before that, Jessica Penne. Before that, Carla Esparza. Before that, Claudia Gadelha. Before that, Juliana Lima. I mean, this has been going on since 2014, despite those 2 losses to Rose Namajunas. And yeah, when you're fighting at the top rank, when you're fighting at this elite level, you're going to lose at some point. It was every year for the past couple of years, I've been thinking, at the end of the year, they usually have the Reebok walkouts where they're all dressed up in their gear. They have all the champions lined up together, and they do this little promo thing with smoke and dim blue lights. And every year you'd see, the champions changing. RDA, Lawler, Jose. List goes on and on. The one person that was able to defend it year after year was Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Can she get back on top? She has to get past Tecia Torres. And Tecia Torres ranked #5 right now. She's only lost 2 fights in her entire career, and against Jessica Andrade and Rose Namajunas. And I'm sure Tecia wants the rubber match against Rose. I would love to see that fight, Tecia Torres versus Rose 3. Tecia Torres also has a win over Michelle Waterson. We also have to remember, Ticia's also coming off a loss to Jessica Andrade back in February. Before that, like I said, Michelle Waterson she beat. Before that, Juliana Lima she beat. Before that, Beck Rawlings. Going all the way back to 2016 was her last loss against Rose Namajunas. She's beat Angela Hill. She's beat Angela Magana. I mean, Tecia, the Tornado, man, this is a huge fight for her. And UFC Pick'em app, they're slouching here because they still have Joanna's picture with the belt. But Joanna, both these girls have only lost 2 fights in their entire career. Somebody's 2 has got to goo. Somebody's 2 has got to goo. I guess that will work right now. Who are you guys going with in this fight? Is it Joanna? Is it Tecia Torres? Me personally, I am going to be going with Joanna. This is only a 3-round fight. Does it go to the decision is the real question. Let me know what you guys think on Twitter at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. And also on Instagram at PureEvilMMA_. Facebook, PureEvilMMA S. All right, let's check in with the chat room. Stewie motherfucking Griffin. He's going with Jose Aldo. BLT, Tecia needs to approach this fight like a speedier Godala. Just take her down, and if she gets up, then repeat. And you know what? That's the game that she's probably going to go for. She is a wrestler. Henry Ford, Ioana champion. This is going to be a good fight, man. I'm surprised these two have not fought before, honestly. Let me see what this says here. Also, wow, 5-inch height advantage for Joanna Jędrzejczyk. How about that? Also on this card, we got Hernandez versus Oliver Aubin Mercier. He's only lost 2 fights himself, trying to make a name for himself in the division, but he's still unranked. Well, he has a chance to break the top 15 as he goes in there against Alexander Hernandez the Great, who's coming off a win to Beneil Dariush that people may remember from UFC 222. Oliver Aubin Mercier, man, this is a guy who's been around for a long time. I pick him every single time he's in there. He's still only 29 years old. He's coming off that win to Evan Dunham. Before that, against Tony Martin, Drew Dober, Theobald Gautier. His last loss stretching all the way back to 2016 against Diego Ferreira. He's beat Tony Sims, David McShaw, Jake Lindsay. Wow, we had Jake on the show. And another loss to Chad Laprise back in 2014. Listen, this is a big fight for Oliver, and I think he can get the win here. I think he can actually get the finish, but Hernandez, man, only has 1 loss. He's an amazing striker, and we're going to be able to see what he can do, especially if he was able to beat Beneil Dariush. Let's see what he can do against Oliver. And this is a big, big fight for Oliver. A lot more people are gearing up and accepting that Oliver is definitely a contender and finally gets a shot at the top 15 here. I think he can do it. What do you guys think? Will he get the submission? Will he go to decision? I will be doing a preview show as well where I'm going to be breaking down this entire card as we reach, where are we at? Almost the hour mark here, huh? Let's see what else we got on this card for everybody. Jordan Mean going up against Morono. Dawadu Arnett. Johnson Makachev. Let's see. Oh, I think I actually put up the entire card on here. Let me see. Maybe not. Maybe not. You know what? Really quickly, let me rewind to last week as well. And guys, let me know what your predictions are for this upcoming fight. But 50K bonus shout out to Manny freaking Bermudez. 50K all day. And let me say this one thing about Manny Bermudez, man. He's training at South Shore Sports and Fitness alongside Chris O'Brien, alongside Joe Giannetti. I mean, those guys are absolute killers out there. Absolute killers. Mike Danella. I mean, this gym is finally coming of age. And we got Chris O'Brien, who actually has another upcoming fight. He is an amateur, but he is definitely making a name for himself. You guys just saw him on my show a few times. You saw him on the MMA Holes. I introduced him to the MMA Holes at the last CES event. He is going to be going up in a champ versus champ matchup. Let me get the photo up for everybody really quickly because I did screenshot. I wanted to put it up on the video cast for everybody, but I could not scramble quick enough. Hey, Madonna me, where is the picture? Champ versus champ. Champ versus champ. Come on, dude. Where's the fucking picture? I hate when shit like this happens. Oh, this is annoying. Either way, it's champ versus champ. I cannot fucking remember. I hate when this shit happens, man. You take a screenshot and it just gets lost. Oh, here it is. King vs. King. Cage fight on August 18th. Don't miss it at the Plymouth Memorial Hall. I still don't have his opponent's name. It's not here. But we got this photo here for you. Chris O'Brien looking to do things. He's coming off a 6-second KO. Putting together the heat over at Cage Science. We got Manny Bermudez going home with 50K. It's just exciting. So big shout out to him. Also, going home with 50K, we got Anthony Smith defeating 2 UFC legends in 1 month. How crazy is that? Rashad Evans and now Shogun Rua. Now, this is kind of expected. And those 2 fights, I expected Anthony Smith to win. Shogun Rua, yeah, he was going on a 4-year run, which was crazy, man. I mean, Shogun Rua is such a legend. So much respect towards his way. But this is a fight that it's just time for the new generation. And I'm not saying Anthony Lionheart Smith is the new generation. This guy has been fighting since Strikeforce. I interviewed this guy almost 3 years ago on CSS Radio when no one was talking about him for some reason. This guy was on a Strikeforce card with Ronda Rousey. That's how long he has been in the scene. And so many people were not giving him the credit. And now finally he's putting things together. And here's the thing. You got these 2 fights that he's got this momentum building up. You want to keep that going. I think he should get another fight. I don't think that it's time to take a rest. Yeah, you should be celebrating. But those are 2 big wins. You want to keep the momentum. Look at what Darren Till is currently doing. Darren Till goes in there, gets his wins, and he just keeps pumping it up and arranging new fights. He's not getting these wins. Everyone talks about it for a week, and then it dies down. It's not working that way. There are way too many fighters in this game that are grinding after the same thing you are. And you have to stand out. You have to stay active. And the way that he's going in there and finishing these guys is a perfect way to stay active. He's not getting finished. He's not putting too much of a beating on his body. Who do you guys think he should go up against next? He's calling out DC, but DC, and this is part of the last news segment here, DC is now saying that the Brock Lesnar fight will be his last fight. But, however, he wants a 1 fight before the Lesnar fight. And it's just genius. However, I do have to put the brakes on this. Because if you've been following this sport, even for a month, you might start to realize that you can't plan anything in the sport. Things go wrong all the time. So that might be planning a little bit too far ahead. What if DC goes in there and, this is his money fight. You don't want to screw up your money fight. I think DC should just wait. Don't rush into your retirement. This is your shining moment. Everyone's talking about it. No one's going to be, if he takes the fight with Anthony Smith, and yeah, Anthony Smith is more deserving. Curtis Blades is more deserving. But if you take that fight, there's not going to be as many people talking about it. Let's be real. Let's keep it 100 here. You guys know I like to keep it 100. That's the truth. That's the truth. You have everyone talking about Brock Lesnar. People that don't even watch the sport are aware of the simple fact that Brock Lesnar is going to be fighting the champ. Let's keep it that way. Yeah, it is August. We're going into September soon. There's only a couple more months till 2019. DC, you have the shining moment. Don't rush into it. Look at Michael Bisping. He got the belt. He was defending it. He did good. I think that he should have held back. The GSP fight was perfect for him, even though he lost. Just the way that everything worked, I don't think he should have did the Kelvin Gastelum fight. Nonetheless, I think DC should just chill out, wait for this fight to come, and relax, man. You've deserved it. Who else is there for you to beat? You've beat some of the biggest names ever. I see the chat room blowing up here. Let me scroll up really quick. Flying armbar in the 2nd round. BLT. Chris and Jesse's reaction was great. Chris cried. This is BLT. That's great. BLT, who didn't they? Stewie, okay, blah, blah, blah. Santos loves to swing them hands. Volkan, Gus, or DC, says BLT. Corey Henderson versus Smith. Corey Anderson versus Smith, you mean. Somebody near the top of the pecking order. Volkan versus Smith. Yeah, Volkan Oezdemir versus Smith. That would be a fun one. Corey should face Jimmy Manuwa, says BLT. Henry Ford, keep it 100, Eddie. Always. BLT, Brock bout to become the champ. Last one here. BLT, if Brock beats DC and Fedor wins the Bellator tourney, Ricky Gervais, hands merging and lip biting meme. Listen, that's my last comment here. I think DC's making a mistake by backtracking. Alexander Gustafsson may be upset, but, DC, how does that pump DC up to go into a fight that he already beat Alexander Gustafsson? I was there watching the pay-per-view, and I had Alexander Gustafsson to win that fight. DC won that fight. If you're looking towards the end of your career, you only want the big fights. If there's going to be 2 fights left on DC's career, let's be real, the only 2 people that he should be fighting is Brock Lesnar, now that it's on the table, and John Bones Jones in the rubber match. Yeah, he lost the first 2, and if you go back and you look at it, how he was saying, no one's ever going to want to see that after he lost to Bones in the Octagon when he did the Octagon review. Look at where he is now. Just look at the changes that have happened since that moment. DC is now the champ on the top of the world, knocked out Stipe Miocic, who people were considering the GOAT. They were saying if he get past DC, Stipe was going to be the GOAT. That's where we're at. And that's my opinion there. James McSweeney shared his opinion on this exact subject on episode 3 of Gloves Off. Also, the best part of this entire episode, of episode 3 of Gloves Off with me and James McSweeney, was at the end, James literally goes off and roasts Mike Swick. It was probably the funniest moment ever I've ever been a part of on a podcast. I could not stop laughing between that and the selfie monkey story. If you guys haven't seen that, I shared it on our channel here at Pure Evil MMA. And if you're wondering, like, Ed, you keep talking about Gloves Off, but I'm not seeing it on your YouTube channel. I do see it on the iTunes, Podbean, Spotify channels, but I am not seeing it on the YouTube channel. Well, that's because we have our own YouTube channel. Just search Gloves Off. I will put the link down here below on Pure Evil MMA on YouTube here. And you know what? Maybe I will upload episode 3 for you guys, just because there's a lot of people that are coming over. I'm getting a lot of new listeners, especially on iTunes, which right now, let me say this, we are ranked top-notch popularity on iTunes for Pure Evil MMA and episode 3 of Gloves Off. And for those of you guys who don't believe me, I will pull it up right now. Let's see. Let me see. Hopefully I don't have to go searching for it. Nope. It is right here. Check this out. Full rank, baby. All the way up. We all the way up. One more time. That's full ranked bars on the Apple iTunes. That means people are listening. In the last 7 days, we've had almost 1,000 downloads between Gloves Off and the last couple of episodes. And I'm so thankful. We're about to break 10K downloads on Podbean. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to score some merch, we got mugs, we got t-shirts, we got girls tees, we got stickers for $4. Teespring.com/PureEvilMMA merch. Get your hands on some of the latest swag that we got going around, designed by Minion McGrunion. BLT, James McSweeney, former UFC tough fighter and also kickboxer, guys. You guys forget that James McSweeney, yeah, he was on the Ultimate Fighter. He did his run in MMA where he beat, he had fights against Roy Nelson, Matt Mitrione, really good friends with Big Brown. Came over with Rashad Evans. Helped Rashad Evans corner in the Forrest Griffin fight. I mean, this is a legend in the kickboxing community. K1 kickboxer. Is like 52-7 in kickboxing, or 57-2, or something like that. 52-7 in kickboxing. That is legendary. He has over 100 fights in Muay Thai, over 100 wins in Muay Thai. Brutal. Has his own gym over in Thailand right now. He was just in a huge blockbuster movie with Zul Afrin, who is the Jason Statham of Thailand, of Malaysia. And he played himself in the movie. I cannot wait for the movie to drop, too. This is going to be great. James McSweeney plays himself as the bad guy in the movie for this Thai fighter who's going in to... James actually spoke all about it, and I'll have him get into it on the next episode. About what you guys can expect the movie and when it's going to be released. But this is a huge blockbuster film that James was a part of. Zul Afrin, man, one of the most well-known actors in that area. Look him up on Instagram. He's got like 2.1 million followers. They're going to be having him on the show soon as well. Trying to get Alistair Overeem on the show. Rashad Evans. All soon to come. You heard James get a shout-out on Big Brown's Breakdown last week. I'm trying to get him on Submission Radio since James has an upcoming fight down in Australia. Big things coming. Like I said, this is our year. Put in the work, staying consistent. I want to thank everybody that's been tuning in. It means a lot. Let's check in with the chat room before we go. Is Till fighting Tyrone? Yes, Darren Till is going to be fighting Tyrone Woodley. We got it right here for you. The exact date. Let's see. Just September 8th. Till versus Woodley. And you guys can rewind to hear what I said about it at the beginning of the podcast. Till is fighting Luke Rockhold. Oh, and let me mention this before I sign off. This is on a sad note here. Demi Lovato has been hospitalized due to a heroin overdose, and this is just awful. I mean, there are so many people out there that suffer from addiction. My life has been touched by it. I mean, I'm sober. I'm clean and sober. I only smoke weed. But I know plenty of my friends that are on the corner right now begging for change on the side of the highway. I have friends 6 feet under from heroin overdoses. I have friends that got so deep into heroin opiates, they got into trouble, they couldn't deal with it, and they hung themselves. This is awful addiction. It's not just here on the East Coast, it's worldwide. And when it hurts people like Demi Lovato, or you've seen the stars that it's taken, Kurt Cobain, fucking Elvis. I mean, it's taken some of the best people, and it's just so sad to see the grip that it has on people. I have watched the most talented of my friends get deals with VH1 and blow it all just to get high, not show up. Or, you know what, like, it's just crazy. It's crazy. This age, you know, I'm 29 years old. That shit is just so petty to me. I mean, listen, I respect and I pray for anybody out there that's still suffering to this day. I really do. But you can come out of it. It is your choice to come out of it. Nobody is making it. Yeah, you're going to have to go through hell for a week, a month of you know, tossing and turning in your sleep. You might not feel the best, but you are going to be able to live your life when it's said and done. You don't have to live a second secret life. You know, stealing from your family, people not being able to trust you. You know, and these superstars, they have so much money, they don't have to do all that dirty shit that you see people doing, begging for change. But when you have that much money, you'll probably end up overdosing. And by then, it's usually too late. Thank God Demi Lovato is okay. I mean, you don't want to wish this on anybody, and the reason I bring it up is because she was with Luke Rockhold for a long time, so I'm sure he's very upset about this. She's been part of the MMA scene for a while, at shows for years. She's even a fucking purple belt. This is just very upsetting news, and I know this affects plenty of people because it affects everyone I know around me. Somebody very close to me who I'm recently not talking to anymore has had battles. A lot of my friends have had their battles with this. I've shared my stories about the battles I've had with opiate addiction and Percocets. You know, after my girlfriend passed away, that was a very dark time for me. My life has been saved, and that was my choice. No one else. You can make somebody go to rehab. If they overdose, oh, you gotta go to rehab for 30 days to do this. Doesn't matter. It's up to you. If you have the good right support around you, and she should, you'll get through this, Demi. You'll be okay. It's up to you. We want you at 100. We want you to shine like you should be shining. And MMA saved so many lives. Look at Anthony Bourdain. That man overcame addiction. Even at the later ends of his life. I mean, it ends sad, but it's very sad when the hand of addiction reaches over and just, it takes so many amazing people. It's very upsetting. So anybody out there that is suffering or knows somebody that is suffering, I pray for you. I pray for you all. I really do, because it affects a lot of families everywhere. And it's not the note I want to end on here. So let me end with this. Guys, Pure Evil MMA coming at you from the East Coast. Nick Newell, he did not win, but Justin Sumner. Next week on Event CT, we got some amazing fights to look forward to, especially this weekend where I will be doing live tweets followed by a recap. But before any of that, I'm going to be doing a preview show. We're going to be previewing this entire card. Maybe Stephen Riccardi will join me again. He did a phenomenal job on last week's show. So guys, for Evil Eddie here at Pure Evil MMA, MyMMAnews.com, white knuckles till the end. And remember, without evil, there's no purity. Behave yourselves. Hey guys, before I go, and I'm going to delete this clip afterwards, but no, I've definitely been scarred, literally scarred from addiction in my life about almost 9 years ago when my girlfriend died, like I said, and to prove it, I still have the scars that I'm extremely embarrassed of, but I wear them with pride because I've gone through that battle and I've come out the other side. You guys may have seen little scrapes on my arms. Let me see. I mean, you can't really see them anymore, but I definitely have some scars there, and here, and it is, trust me, I know what I'm talking about when I talk about addiction. And you know, this is, you can see it in my posts and stuff like that. Like, I try to inspire people to step outside. To, if you're living that life, you're in such a different reality. It's so sad. And every day I'm trying to inspire people to get up. I mean, I get to wake up every morning and do something I fucking love, that I'm inspired and passionate about, and it has saved my life. And I wish anybody out there that is suffering or going through some hard times, they know that they can get through it and live a full life and be happy. And it's just, it's heartbreaking. It is so heartbreaking to see people I know and literally love relapse. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. So with that being said, guys, I love you all. Thanks for tuning in. Behave yourselves.